Hi everyone, this is Alicia. I'm going to be doing a Sacramento review budget format analysis for the fiscal year of 2025-26. We'll identify the budget format, explain how I determined it, explain some disadvantages and advantages, and then follow up with a recommendation. So based on the week one assignment and these graphs that I ended up finding for the Sacramento City budget, I would say Sacramento uses a program-based budget where spending is organized by city programs and services that they deliver. I could tell it was a program budget because the document breaks down each department by specific programs, services, and allocated resources rather than only line items. The first article I read by Joyce explained that program budgeting strengthens the connection between funding and services. Instead of focusing on individual line items, program budgets show exactly what programs the city's investing in and what services those programs provide. This will help the public and policymakers understand the purpose behind the spending. Second, program budgeting increases transparency. Another article I read was Kahn and Hildreth, and they noted that program structures make government activities clearer to residents because the budget is organized around functions and goals rather than accounting categories. This clarity supports more meaningful public engagement and more informed decision-making. Third, program budgeting helps prioritize resources. By grouping spending into programs, policymakers can compare services, evaluate community needs, and make strategic decisions about which programs should be expanded, reduced, or maintained. Another article I read by Hugh it added that program-based structures help government assess performance and outcomes, which make it easier to identify which programs are effective. Overall, research shows that program budgeting is valuable because it connects funding to public services, increases transparency, supports outcome evaluation, and helps leaders prioritize resources based on community needs. Although program budgeting has strong benefits, academic research points to several significant challenges that governments face when using this format. In the article written by Joyce, it explains that program budgeting is time-consuming to prepare because every program requires a narrative, objectives, service descriptions, and resource justifications. Instead of simply listing expenditures and categories, departments must break down their work into specific programs and explain what each program is meant to accomplish. This does add a considerable workload, especially for large cities like Sacramento, with many departments and service areas. Kahn and Hildreth highlight the high data requirements. Program budgets rely heavily on accurate cost information, program performance indicators, and outcome data. Many public agencies struggle to collect and maintain this level of detailed information, especially when staffing or administrative capacity is limited. Without reliable data, program budgets can become incomplete or inconsistent. Another disadvantage noted by the literature is the difficulty of assigning costs when programs overlap. Kahn and Hildreth point out that government services often cut across multiple departments. For example, public safety programs may involve police, fire, and emergency services simultaneously. When programs overlap, it becomes challenging to determine which costs belong to which program, leading to blurred boundaries and less precise budgeting. It's also added that program and performance budgeting frameworks often depend on strong, clearly defined performance measures. In practice, many cities struggle with inconsistent, unclear, or unrealistic metrics. If program outcomes are not well defined or measurable, the program budget loses one of its core strengths, its ability to link funding to results and evaluate effectiveness. Together, these disadvantages show that program budgeting requires significant time, administrative effort, technical capacity, and consistent data challenges that constrain government departments and reduce the accuracy or usefulness of the budget. After reviewing Sacramento's 25-26 budget and the academic research on program budgeting, my recommendation would be that the City of Sacramento should continue using program budget format. This structure fits the size and service demands of a major city, and it aligns well with Sacramento's strategic priorities. Program budgeting also strengthens transparency and public accountability. Conan Hildreth explained that organizing the budget around programs and service areas helps residents understand government priorities and builds trust, especially when communities want to see how funds support specific programs. Sacramento is a large and complex city, and switching formats would make it harder to show outcomes or maintain a clear connection between funding and services. Given the city's structure and priorities, the program budget remains the most effective and appropriate format. Thank you all for listening. This is my reference page for the articles that I read and was able to reference in my presentation.